A 15-year-old boy gets home from school to find his house broken into and his mother missing. In today's case, we discuss the events that led to the disappearance of an innocent mother. Okay, let's go. Gail Clevenger was 46 years old, and she worked as an architect for Rhodes and Brito Architects Incorporated.
That is one job I think would be really interesting.
I think so too, but
It's just the outside of it looks really
I'm
interesting.
not good at numbers and I'm not good at drawing.
No.
So,
Potato.
I mean,
Okay.
as in I'm a potato?
No, just as in like potato. Like we don't know like we're potatoes when it comes to architecture. Me no potato.
Well, she had a son named Gregory Logan Ramos, and he was born on the 14th of June 2003 in Debary, Florida.
Mm.
Yeah. And, okay, Debary, Florida. It's spelt Debary, D-E-B-A-R-Y.
Debary.
But you pronounce it like D''Berry. Debary. I had to look up the pronunciation because I was like, Debary.
Debary.
But then I was like, people are going to make fun of me if I say it wrong. Maybe. Unfortunately, I don't know his biological father's name.
Yeah.
It literally is not anywhere. The only reference I saw to him was that he had a biological father. That's it.
He had a dad.
But Gail would eventually marry Danny Clevenger, which is how she got her surname, and he took the role of stepdad for Gregory. And I don't know exactly when they got married because, again, it didn't show that. And I don't know exactly what he did for work because it also didn't say that, but he would travel outside of the state a fair bit.
I hate when you can't find the info.
I know, and it seems like such simple stuff. Like, there should be, like, I think marriage records in America are public information, or I believe they are.
List it down.
But it just was not anywhere. So if you're listening and you know, please tell me because that shit annoys me. So he would see himself outside of the state every now and then. And factually speaking, there isn't a lot of information around how things were in the household, but it seems like everyone was alright and kind of they were doing alright for themselves. That would end up getting turned on its head, however, on November 2nd, 2018.
Ruh-roh.
Like any other day, Gail would wake up and she would go and get Gregory ready for the morning so he could have breakfast and he could get dressed, and then she would take him to school and drop him off at about 6:30. This happened on this day, and he said, "Adios, mamito," and then she went on her journey to work. Why are you laughing?
Because you're like, see you later, mummy.
School goes as per normal. Gregory finishes up around 2:45. He goes and catches the bus, which stops, I think it's like a couple of streets away from his house, and then he walks home. He doesn't get there until about 3:45. But when he gets into the driveway, he notices that his mum's car is running,
Oh.
but that there's no one in the car. And I mean, if that were me, I'd be like, oh, like maybe she had to run in and grab something. And he notices that the south-facing door, which is like the, I don't know, the guest entrance door, whatever. But he notices that it is open, it's been like kicked in. And he also notices that the house has been absolutely ransacked. So he looks around and he notices piles and piles of their belongings strewn across the floor, but no Gail. So he goes upstairs, he has a look for her, he's calling out to her, he can't find her, he goes downstairs, he can't find her. She's literally nowhere to be seen.
That'd be freaky.
Yeah, and like obviously you'd be worried, right? I mean, it's his mum. So he calls 911, and it's approximately 3:52 at this point. So it's been about 7 minutes since he got home. He's had a look around trying to find her. I guess you'd want to be sure too before you call the cops, right?
911, where's your emergency?
I just got home and my house is completely trashed. It looks like someone broke in the side door.
How long have you been gone?
I've been gone all school day, and my mom's car is here and it's on, and she's not home.
Listeners, if you could see Ashley's face, she was making fun of him.
But that is one thing though, 911 calls. Like we talk about it as well. You never really know how you're going to act in the moment. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how I would sound. Something weird's gone on. Like, would I be like, oh my God, like, blah, 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 blah? Or would I just be like,
I think
hey?
it depends on your, like, your fight or flight response too, though, right? Like, for me, oh, God, I don't know. I mean, we've already found out that I sound disingenuous when I'm trying to say something feels sad. So I guess at the end of the day...
you would be like,
I would be arrested
murder.
like
Yeah.
that because they'd be like, he's lying. I'm like, I'm not lying.
It's like, you're...
See?
yeah.
I'm not lying.
Yeah. I didn't do it.
I'm not lying.
Yeah, you'd be fucked.
You would. You'd be scared. And I mean, anyone would be scared, but especially a 15-year-old boy. Like
Yeah.
that would be kind of messed up to get home to. Anyway, as you'd expect it, deputies respond to the call and they head over to the address on Alicante Road in Debary. And once they get there, they do a safety sweep. Joey, what is a safety sweep? I'm so glad you asked because I didn't know either. I had to research it beforehand because I was like, Aside from what it sounds like, so like just making sure that it's safe to enter,
It's clear.
it seems to be part of a warrant or exigent entry to the property. And we know obviously what a warrant is. But what is that other thing? Again, good question. Basically, it just means that they have the ability to enter the dwelling because they have reasonable suspicion that a dangerous individual is on the scene. But it does have its limitations. For example, the search can only be as long as necessary, and it does not give them the ability to perform a full search. So
What's
it's
the
like,
law?
it's so weird, hey. But I mean, this is specifically for Florida. I don't know if that is like anywhere else. It could just be like a state law for them. So they can enter the house. They can basically look behind closed doors into bedrooms, but they can't search property. They can't open drawers. They can't do anything that they would otherwise require an actual warrant or subpoena for. So
That's stupid, especially when someone's missing and you don't really know what's going on, you know?
yeah, but these are the first responders. So these are the
Yeah.
people that just turn up
Okay, fair.
first. And that part is also quite important because I was thinking about it as well. Because I watch a lot of like courtroom TV and I look at a lot of like legal documentation. And it's important that they follow the law in that sense, because if something comes to light and they didn't follow the law, it could technically be thrown out because the evidence was obtained illegally. So it's like super important that they get that. So the more you know. But that's not what today's case is about. So moving on swiftly. I just thought that it was interesting. Anyway, so they also notice and note down that south side door had been forced open from the outside in, but they didn't know by what means. And that kind of makes sense considering they had those limitations. They didn't really have full capacity to do like a proper search.
Yeah.
They also corroborate that things have been thrown everywhere, so drawers had been pulled out and dumped, cabinets were opened and emptied, contents were strewn across the floor, and there were missing electronics, so like a PlayStation, laptop, sound system, anything worth money. Was gone, daddy gone. Or gone, mummy gone.
Oh.
Oh no!
Oh, uh-oh.
One thing that they noted was that they saw some blood droplets on the tiled floor, kind of through the entryway of the door from like the kitchen and the dining room in toward like the house. So that's something that they also noted down.
Ruh-roh.
Well, you have a missing woman, then you have some blood inside the house. Even the smallest amount is kind of like, it may not have even been bad,
Yeah.
but you have to consider everything at that point. So the deputies were eventually joined by detectives Tucker and Martin, who also reported that the car was still running when they arrived, so no one had turned it off.
Yeah.
But by this point, because obviously it's been running for a minute, it was almost out of gas. But I also don't know, that's just one thing. Okay, can I point out just something that doesn't make sense to me? Why would this person, these people, steal PlayStations, laptops, DVD players, whatever they could get their hands on? They have the car running in the driveway. I think it was a van. Why would they not take that too?
I guess if it's going on foot and they might have thought they can run away quicker than
With
stealing a car.
laptops, a PlayStation, DVD players.
Yeah, depending how many there are, I guess.
You're wrong, but that's true. I'm kidding. I don't know.
Makes sense, but you're wrong.
No, it makes sense. So, with the information that Gail was missing, they wanted to rule out something. So the deputies call Rhodes and Brito Architects Incorporated because they just want to know, is she at work?
Yeah. Hello?
Because, I mean, she left him at school to go to work.
Yeah.
So it would stand to reason that maybe she was at work, but then her car was in the driveway. So it's strange. Anyway, so they confirmed that she was still an active employee with, but that she no-call, no-showed that day. She never turned up.
Uh-oh.
And they didn't try to call her until about 2.5 hours into her shift to be like, hey, Gail, you coming in today? Went straight to voicemail.
God, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. A lot of places.
You'd be fucking
1
lucky.
second.
Yeah, I give you 10 minutes and then I'm like, hey, you all right?
Not even 10 minutes.
Are you all right?
901. Where are ya?
You better be dead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
not Gail. So They obviously like need to follow as many leads as they can, so they decide that they're going to call her like immediate family. They don't need to call Gregory. He's at home and he's obviously the one who's reported the thingy. So they call them to be like, hey, have any of you spoken to G-Dog? Because we can't find her. She's missing. Greg's called us to let us know XYZ. The house is fucked up. So has anyone here heard from them? And they're all like, well, no, like not today at least. Greg lives with her, so he probably was the last one that would have spoken to her. And we obviously know he was. She dropped him off at school. So while comforting Gregory, the detectives notice that he has some superficial injuries to his face. Turns out that day was really fucked up for him because he got into a fisticuff with his friend called Dylan at school. So they asked who Dylan was, and even though he was kind of referred to as a friend before, it reiterated that he's just like a kid at school, whatever, that he doesn't know too well. Rough day. I would say that we've all been there, but luckily no, we haven't. As in, we didn't get into a fight at school and then find out our mum's gone missing. Like that would be kind of fucked up. Only the detectives overheard a conversation that Gregory had with Danny, his stepdad, because he also wanted to know what happened to his son's face. So what the fuck happened to your face?
Born like this, Dad.
Yeah, Dad. Rude. I know you weren't there, but rude.
My other dad gave me this face. Rude.
Only detectives would hear a conversation that Gregory had with his stepdad,
Yeah.
Danny, again about the same thing, about his face, right? But this time, he said that he fell down some stairs at school. Right, well, discrepancy. So noticing this, the detectives ask him again, wanting to confirm what the story was, and this time he tells them that he had a fight with Joel.
Oh, fuck me.
So what is it, Greg?
Gregory!
Was it Dylan? Was it the stairs? Was it Joel? Was it a combination of the three?
All of
Was
them.
it Colonel Mustard in the library with the candlestick? Who knows? So, ruh-roh, not the discrepancy. So the detectives want to kind of get to the bottom of this. So they ask him for like a play-by-play of his day. Makes sense.
As you would.
So he said that he made it to school for 7 a.m. He attended class. He, in fact, attended every single class he had that day. And he didn't leave school until 2:45, and he caught the bus home, like we mentioned earlier. Given that some things already weren't matching, the detectives check in with the school. And they're like, hey guys, you know Gregory Ramos? When did he leave school today? Was it 2:45? They said, no, he actually self-checked out at 1 p.m.
Oh, Gregory.
Oh, so the police were like, well, that's weird. That doesn't add up. But I mean, things kind of just aren't adding up anyway. So then they also check with the Volusia bus transport, which is the bus that he would normally catch home. He didn't catch the bus home that day either. So things really aren't adding up.
Them 15-year-old boys, I tell ya.
Wild imaginations. So again, ruh-roh, once more, we find ourselves in Discrepancy Village. But before we continue, don't forget to follow us on Spotify and on our socials. Drop us a line. You can also suggest a case via the link on our Linktree, linktree.com/Whine Mysteries. Thank you very much. Obviously, there are just a couple holes
Just a few.
in his recollection of events, and his stories really just are not matching. So the detectives ask him about the events that occurred the night before. They're like, well, this is a jumbled mess of shit. You can't remember what happened today. Let's see what happened yesterday.
Like he's going to remember.
I know, it's really problematic. Maybe he just has trouble remembering things. So he explained that he got home from school, had dinner with his mum, did some homework, then kind of got in trouble for getting a D grade in one of his classes, which kind of is not good enough. I get it. Like, having a mum that was not incredibly pleased with my academic career, because I just was not a very academic child.
Yeah.
I understand that they want the best for you, right? And they want you to apply yourself and to succeed. That's kind of what we want. Anyway, he got the D grade. She wasn't happy about it. Apparently she chewed him out about it. And then he went to bed. But he went on to say that he pretended to sleep, his words, because he expected that his mum was going to come into the room later that night to take his mobile phone from him. I believe they call it a cell phone in America, you know. I think it's still like a cell phone.
Yeah.
Maybe in Florida.
I'm on my cell.
I'm on my cell. Call me on my cell. His mobile. Because it had apparently in the past been taken and kept in the parents' room as a form of discipline or punishment for him doing something wrong, whatever. Like clockwork, she comes in to his room around 12:30 in the morning to take the phone, even though he's asleep, and then she goes to bed.
I would have just hit it. I would have just
Same.
hit it, like put it in your pocket. She's not going to fucking...
I would slide it between my ass cheeks. Your mum's not going to go into your butthole
if
to go
you-
and get your fucking phone.
If you know that she's coming in to get it, why not hide it on you?
Yeah.
So it's not in the same spot.
Yeah.
Your mum's not going to wake you up.
Or how about you just don't do the wrong thing and you don't get your phone taken off you in the first place?
Yeah, don't be dark.
Yeah, anyway. So he waits until he thinks that she is asleep, right? And then he sneaks into her room and he takes his phone back. Whatever.
I
Anyway,
won this round.
yeah, I got you, mum. She wouldn't even know.
Yeah. Okay.
Idiot. So he's not tight. He's just not tight. He's got a lot of energy. So he ends up messaging some of his friends to come and pick him up. And they all get to his house at about 1:30 in the morning. So it's been an hour since she took the phone. I don't know. She must fall asleep real quick.
Yeah.
And they all come around to the house and he gets his bright idea that he wants to take her car, her van, and go for a joyride to go and buy alcohol. He's 15, remember, so his friends are going to be about the same age. They apparently make it to some 7-Eleven. It was unnamed. It was just they made it to a 7-Eleven. And then they went to a church, which was a local church because there's a fire pit out the back where they just sat there and they just drank a little bit. And strangely enough, he would also say that they made multiple trips at night, between the church and his house. So just driving back and forward, but then also spending time at the fire pit does not make sense. By 5 a.m, they've had enough. He's at home. They all fuck off. He goes to bed to have a nap because his mum's going to be up to wake him up soon. So he's like, I'll take a nap, whatever. So then she comes in. He gets ready. He drops her off at school. She apparently, I didn't write it down because it was just like, but she would take him to school and then she would drive her car somewhere to catch either a train or a bus, and then once she got off that bus she had like a bicycle that was tied up or something and she would cycle the rest of the way to work. So
Fuck that.
but she did look quite fit too though,
Yeah.
so it was kind of like it would make sense. But if you had a car, just fucking drive or bike the whole way, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that happens. This time, he goes through the same story again, and he says that he attends pretty much all of his classes, but this time he does tell them that he leaves at 1 p.m. So that's an hour and 45 minutes earlier than his last story, but it kind of checks out, because I think they must have told him they checked with the school, who said, you self-checked out at 1.
Yeah.
And he went and met with Dylan, the one who he had originally had a fight with, and some other unnamed friends. So some other teenage boys, whatever. And they all get into a car and drive back to his house so he can pick up some money because they wanted to go back out to the fire pit. I don't know. At this point, though, he said that the house was still intact. So the door, he was able to get inside. There was no issues. Nothing was broken into. Nothing was stolen, whatever. And he had his friends with him, so he had witnesses, blah, blah, blah. So they end up going back to the fire pit. I don't even know if they had fires lit.
But that's what I mean. It's during the day. Why? Why? Why you been there at the fire pit?
Like it's behind the church in a wooded sort of area, so it would
So
be
maybe it's
kind
a
of a bit of a
cool-
hangout. Like,
yeah. Okay.
So I kind of get it. Anyway, they leave the fire pit at about 3:30, and he gets dropped off a couple of streets away from his house, and he walks the rest of the way home. And then the rest we kind of know, because then he calls 911 and he makes a report that everything is like a little bit weird in his house. So after hearing about this Dylan character multiple times now, first as just some kid at school that he'd punch up with, now it's kind of like his friend. So after hearing about this Dylan character multiple times, they decide that they need to track him down. So they track down Dylan Sigleric at his home because they want to corroborate Gregory's story. And remember, it's still the same day. They're literally
Getting shit done.
combing through shit, and I was like, that's fucking cool.
I like when they're not like, oh, I'm sure they'll come back.
Yeah, they were. It was like literally like clockwork, like
Yeah.
dominoes just falling into place.
I
So
like that.
Detectives Cox and Wheeler get to Dylan's house in Deltona to get his statement. It's literally just like a 10-minute drive from Debary, so it's not very far away at all.
Yeah.
But they don't end up meeting with him until 10 p.m. These are busy men, like they've been doing everything the whole day, right? And they also felt that it was good to meet up with him because at first he was referred to as some kid at school, just being a friend to hang out with sometimes, until they spoke with Gregory's family, who said that Dylan was known to them as his very best friend.
Oh.
Ruh-roh, another discrepancy right there.
There's discrepancies in your story.
That's right. There's more holes than not.
More holes than Swiss cheese.
So, they get to his place and they're greeted by Joseph and Marion Capizzi. They're Italian. And they're his grandparents and guardians. So I don't know what happened to his parents, and I also didn't really care to look into it any further. He was being taken care of by his family members anyway. So the detectives want to meet with him, and Joseph and Marion say, yeah, that's fine. Because remember, he's a minor. I think he's like 17, so he's a little bit older than Gregory. And they all sit down together at the table, and they ask him if he knew why they're there. And he said, well, no. Why would I know we're here? And they mentioned that Gregory's mother was missing and that they needed to speak with anyone who may have information about the family. Stands to reason, kind of makes sense. He apparently acknowledges this, right? And they ask him about his relationship with Gregory. And to their surprise, he downplays their friendship too. In fact, he doesn't call Gregory his friend at all. He says that Gregory is my math tutor.
Oh, that's weird. He's my best friend.
He teaches me maths.
Ruh-roh. Discrepancy.
Discrepancy central. And then he also says that the last time that he saw him was during lunch that same day. He went on to add like some extra, I didn't write it down because it wasn't that important, but some extra information about Gregory liking to sit alone. He sits alone, doesn't really interact or hang out with anybody. So he threw that in there himself without even being prompted for it. So that makes me go, ruh-roh. Anyway, Dylan said that he left school at 1:45 with his friend Brian, who drove him home before he went to work, and explained that after lunchtime he didn't actually see Gregory again, and that he was at work from 3:30 until 5 that afternoon, where he was picked up by his grandmother. The detectives weren't born yesterday, so they challenged him on this and on the inconsistent information, and after changing his story multiple times about what happened through the day, after work, getting picked up by his grandma, all that kind of stuff, he eventually confirmed that he had left school with Gregory and Brian, and went on to say that Brian actually picked Gregory up for school that morning at 6:15, that his mother hadn't dropped him off.
Okay, first of all, I thought you weren't friends. Secondly, okay. Yep.
I just wish that I knew what all the different stories were, because I read the literal affidavit. It does not mention it. It just says he changed the stories multiple times before XYZ, which is really annoying. Anyway, now that he's squealing like a little piggy, he also repeats something that Brian shared with him while they're at school. It turns out apparently that after Brian picked Greg up, Greg confessed to killing his own mother.
Oh.
Shock, horror. Oh, it's like he never knew.
But guess what, guys? Guess what happened to me last night? Huh?
Yeah. But what's strange to me is that Brian wasn't referred to as Greg's best friend or Gregory's best friend, but Dylan was. So why did he tell Brian before he told Greg? Or did he actually see Brian as a friend with him, like as close as Dylan was? I don't actually know at all.
But okay.
And he went on to advise that Greg needed help after school to assist him in staging a robbery, and they obliged. Dumb boys. Honestly, dumb boys. So they all go to the house, and Dylan reports that when he got there, it was already a pigsty. Like shit was everywhere. So there was kind of very little that they had to do. Even still, they all decide to rough the house up some more, and Greg asked them to take some of the electronics with them to hide at their houses. I know. And obviously they oblige. They're like,
fucking dum-dums.
They're like, sure, why not? To prove that this is something that actually happened, Dylan's like, well, here, I have some of it in my closet. Like, come, I'll show you. Like,
oh my God.
Like I said, squeals like a little pig.
You don't believe me? Look.
Yeah,
look at the closet.
Yeah. And they saw some of the things that he was hiding for Greg in his closet. so strange. He told them that there were other items that were placed in a dumpster, like somewhere in town, so he shared the location of that. He also said that Gregory gave him a rifle, but he didn't want the rifle in his house, so he hid it in the woods near the church, the one with the fire pit.
Oh yeah, because just leave a rifle fucking laying around, all right?
Yeah, and there are also other additional items that were hidden in the woods as well, so I think that's where the laptops and stuff went. I think they were like snapped in half,
Yeah.
but they were put out there as well. He also said that he would be happy to show the detectives where they were.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Yeah,
What the fuck, these kids?
true. So they ask him. They're like, okay, well, you've come forward about all this. Is Gail buried near the church? And he says, I don't have any knowledge of that. And then he told him that she's actually buried underneath the fire pit at the church. Praise him.
I have to go now.
Why?
Why? I don't like that. Look, not gonna lie, low key, I'm like, these boys are going to the fire pit a lot. There's something wrong with the fire pit.
I know. And they're not just circle jerking at a fire pit. I mean, maybe they were. I don't know. So, given that this case had now taken a very dark turn and he had literally just confirmed that there was criminal involvement, Dylan had to swear to the information that he had provided was accurate and true, and then he was read his Miranda rights, which he waived.
Okay.
Can I say, okay, I know that there are some people who do some bad things. Minors, I think even minors and youth crimes should be handled. And I think probably more severely than what it is because they get off the hook a lot,
Yeah.
you know? But it's kind of like in a situation where a child, a minor, is waiving the rights they have under the Constitution, there should be some type of legal representative there to be like, no, that is not in your best interest to do.
Yeah. Like you're a minor. Legally, you can't sign for things or agree to things.
Apparently you can, at least in the state of Florida.
Okay. Makes sense.
He then gave consent for the items that he was storing for Greg to be seized. So they ended up collecting that from the Capizzi property. Then he takes them to the location where the items are hidden in the woods and also to like the fire pit where Gail was buried. And then he also recalled seeing drag marks from the parking area down toward the fire pit, which were now gone because it would turn out, I don't include it in there, but it turns out that Greg would actually come back later with a broom and sweep the drag marks because he realized that some had been left there. Listen, some of it's kind of smart, but a lot of it's just not executed properly.
Yeah, part of me is like...
And thank God, but... But he's a good kid, you know? He apologizes for lying earlier at the beginning. He said that he simply just did not want to get anyone in trouble, which is why he agreed to help Gregory in the first place, because he just didn't want to get Greg in trouble. I know. I didn't do it.
Hell.
I know.
I
know, it's kind of fucked. Anyway, they end up finding all of the items that were disposed of in the dumpster, which matched like the items that were missing from the Clevenger residence. So now they need to find Brian Porras, who was reportedly involved in part of staging the robbery. He is the other Brian that had picked Gregory up from school that day.
Yeah.
So they meet up with him. At this point, I don't know what day it is. I don't think it's the same day, because by the time they would have been done with Dylan, it would have been after midnight. Like, they wouldn't have been there for just
Probably
5
the
minutes.
following day. Yeah.
So they end up meeting with him and doing an interview with him the same way that they did with Dylan. He admits to some things. He corroborates that he was the one that picked up Gregory that morning. He's sprinkling some bits of truth through trying to like omit information or hide information. So none of these kids are good at lying, which is good. I wish they didn't get themselves in this situation to begin with, but I mean... Yeah. But yeah, so he told some other things like lies, like he never went to the house and all that kind of stuff. So they decide at this point that they don't actually have time to muck around. And they let him know that it is now a homicide investigation. And Brian tells them to tell him what they know. And he will tell the truth.
You tell me what you got first and then I'll agree or not.
Yeah, I will I'm not going to tell you, but I'll nod.
Yeah.
Or I'll wink.
Like, I don't want to give myself up if you don't know about it.
Yeah. And Brian was also advised of his rights, and he was given a Miranda card, because apparently they also have the cards that have the rights on them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of handy, whatever. But he waived those rights as well, and he chose to speak with them without his parents even being present, because obviously he doesn't want his parents to know that he had any involvement, right? So he has no direction, no protection, nothing. He's literally going into it with professional detectives who know what they're looking for. Fucking idiots. These kids are dumb.
You're saying, dear mung beans, if you done fucked up, get a lawyer.
Well, don't fuck up to begin with.
Don't fuck up. But
if you do, get a lawyer.
fucking lawyer, what the
Get a lawyer. Get some type of legal representation who can help you. Like,
Police aren't there to help you.
they're not.
They're there to help Gail,
That's right.
who has died.
They have
Not
an oath
you.
to the fact finder. That's what they're doing. They don't care about you. They don't care about your feelings. It's baffling. Anyway, so most of the things that he ends up telling them lines up. Only the difference is that it was only after they got to the Clevenger residence that Gregory told both of them that he had killed his mum. And this was right after school. So apparently he was acting a bit funny, like out of whack in the car. And then he tells them, I killed my mum. I need you to help me stage a robbery. Because
I killed my mum.
Brian said that he didn't actually believe. I guess I probably wouldn't. If someone said they did, unless you show me the body, right? Like, I don't want to see it. But it's like, unless you actually show me the body or proof that you did said thing, I would probably be like, all right, this dickhead's pulling my leg. But I wouldn't help you stage a fucking robbery.
No.
I'd be like, I gotta go.
Well, wouldn't you more be like, hey, so I know we're friends and all, but if you've killed someone, I'm going to go to the cops now. So tell me if you're lying or not.
But then also, I don't think he had told them how he had killed her. And at this point, he still had a rifle in the house. So how would you know he's not going to go after you?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Because there's too many, like, you know?
Yeah.
Or what you do is you help stage some of the burglary. You go home. The second you get home, you call the cops. You tell them about your involvement. You felt that you were forced into it because your life was in peril. So it just makes sense that, I mean, I don't know. Don't take legal advice from me either. I'm not a lawyer. Anyway, after they collected all of the discarded and hidden property, they go to confront Gregory about the discrepancies in his story.
Did you kill your mother, take things from your house, distribute them amongst your friends, come in here today and lie to my face and say that you didn't do that? No. No what? I didn't do that. You didn't kill your mother? No. Okay. I don't believe you. Why? Well, the good news about it is that all those things that were missing from your house, we found them. Where? You tell me. I give you a clue. It's one of your buddies. Are you saying my friends robbed my house? Is that what you took out of this? Is that I'm saying that your friends robbed your house? The same friends who, by the way, were at school all day and who dropped you off. Here, I'll refer to you a little map. Remember this. They dropped you right here on High Banks and whatever the hell this road is. And I asked you earlier, is it possible that your two friends could have went to your mom's house and killed your mom and taken those things? And you said that's impossible because they would have been driven past you and then you would have saw them. The time is up, Greg. The time is up. We found the stuff. Okay? Your buddies turned us onto it. Now you need to tell me what happened because they've already told me what happened. Told my pals what happened. So you need to come to Jesus. You're a religious man. You prayed with your mom. You need to tell me what happened. So what did they tell you? I'm not telling you what they told me because I don't have to tell you what they told me. You tell me what happened. I already told you what happened. Tell me you didn't kill your mother. I didn't. Who killed your mother? I have zero clue. Who took the shit to your house? Well, you just told me. Apparently it's my friends. And when did you think they did that? I have zero clue. Do you honestly believe the things that are coming out of your mouth? Yeah. So when your buddy says that you told him you killed your mother. Oh, good, whatever. All right, I'll tell you what happened. All right, so I got home. I got in an argument with my mom. She slapped me across the face. She began to hit me. She started beating me. I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death. I put her in a wheelbarrow. I put her in my car. I took the car. I had a mental breakdown where I was committed suicide 3 times. I drove around Daytona. I dropped the wheelbarrow in some random-ass location, and I drove back to the church. I began to dig a hole. I dig a hole right under the fire pit. I dug a pretty deep hole, pretty deep. decomposed put a body in. All right. All this time, my mom's decomposing body. I dragged it from my car to the fire pit. In which case, I tried to cut the wedding ring off her finger because I wanted to pawn it, but I couldn't because I didn't have a knife strong enough to cut bones. Oh well, whatever. Anyways, so I dug that hole, threw her body in there, filled it back in, made it look all nice and natural, dumped my clothes, and then I went home and I caught a ride to school with my friends, and yeah.
So what you just heard just then was him literally get cornered to the point where he had to confess to what had happened. And I don't know if you picked up on how nonchalant he was the whole time. Not just that, but like when the direct accusation, at this point they don't know the mum is dead, right? They should have no reason to know that she's dead. If that were our mum and they had just said, "Did you kill your mum?" I would probably break tongue crying. I would scream at them. I'd say, "What the fuck are you talking about? My mom's not dead." Do you know what I mean? He's like, "No. Who killed her? I have no clue."
You'd be angry or upset that you're getting blamed.
Accused.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, whatever.
Oh my god.
But, okay, here's the thing. Just to be clear, there were no signs of interfamily violence. And to recap, Greg got a bad grade and his mum obviously wanted better for him, right? So she questioned him about it. She probably told him off. I don't know, asked him to do better. Either way, it ends up in an argument that happens around 8:47 that evening. He's pissed off. I think he probably was grounded. So he goes to his bedroom. He's having a sulk because he's in trouble, obviously. He's fuming. So he waits until just after midnight and then he goes into her room to confront her again. He goes to her. It's not like she said, "Greg, come here, let's have a conversation." He was the aggressor in that situation. He goes to her. They apparently start arguing again. He lunges and starts choking her out while she's in bed. He drags her out of the bed, slams her into the wall, choking her, then down on the floor, choking her. That goes on for 30 minutes. He's choking her out for 30 minutes and she's fighting the whole time. Yeah, there were scratches and bruises on the face because she was fighting for her life. She scratched his tummy. I think there were a couple of scratches on his arm because, again, she was fighting for survival. He thought she was dead because she passed out eventually, right? He must have a really loose grip. I don't know.
Well, apparently it takes a while. I've heard it takes a lot of strength and
it doesn't take 30 minutes, but
yeah.
you just need to get them to the point they're on. We do too many true crime things. You get them to the point where they're unconscious and then you hold them there.
Yeah.
And then it's the act of holding them there past that point where you've cut oxygen and blood flow off. After a certain amount of time, you will die.
Yeah.
He thought that had happened. So he went out to go prepare the wheelbarrow. So he's obviously thought about what's going to happen. Comes back in because he wants to, obviously take his mum out there. Sees that she's moving because she's not actually dead yet because he didn't kill her. So he jumps on her and he goes again for the choke and he doesn't let go this time until she's actually dead. He then fastens her legs together so it was easier to drag her out to the wheelbarrow, puts her in that, takes her out to the van, her car, puts her in the back of the car, and then drives her to the fire pit. It's all planned. It's like between 8:47 and 12, he sat there thinking about what he was going to do. It felt very premeditated.
Huh. So how did no one see him take a wheelbarrow out to his car with his mum in it?
Well, it's close to 1 a.m. at this point, so no one's really going to be up.
That's lucky though.
Well,
Not
not
in the
for
sense
Gail.
of, yeah.
Now, he would claim self-defense, stating that he believed that sometime in the future, some nebulous time in the future, she was going to kill him.
Oh, yeah.
So he had to do it first.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And again, no proof of interfamily violence. He was 5'8" and weighed 200 pounds, so he's 90-something kilos at 15 years old, and he's only 5'8". That's a chunk of kid.
Yeah, unless it's like adrenaline, did it before. Yeah.
The door part, though, he can't actually take credit for because it was Brian and Dylan's idea to kick the door in to make it look like someone actually forced entry. So they were the ones who actually kicked the door in for him to make it look like that, right?
It scares me how easily these guys went along with helping him out because I didn't want him to get in trouble, so I'm going to incriminate myself. Okay.
It literally does not make sense. So I was going to add some audio in, but I legit kind of ran out of time, and as you can see, this episode's like a bit of a big boy. But it was of Brian and Dylan being super chill as fuck, sitting in the back of the Popo-mobile, talking about how much trouble they're going to be in when they get home. See, they were thinking that the part that they played would result literally in just a slap on the wrist, like, oh, well, it didn't actually do anything.
Yeah, we
didn't kill anyone. We didn't see a body. We didn't hide a body. We just, trashed the place up a bit. Took some of the shit that he gave us. Only, they would both be charged with accessory after the fact to second-degree murder and pled no contest, but under the terms of a plea agreement. So on February 8th, 2021, Dylan was sentenced to 828 days, time served in Volusia County Jail, getting credit for 309 days, and served a 10-year probation, but with adjudication withheld. I will explain what that is. So,
yes.
when they withhold adjudication, it just means that it's not going to be a permanent conviction against your name. So it might be on the record somewhere, but it's not like they weren't charged for felony murder.
Yeah.
It was, I think, in a way to let them live a normal life when they're adults because they've done something dumb when they're kids.
Yeah.
I believe that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, it's the wrong thing to do, but they didn't physically
do anything.
Kill her.
Yeah. But
and for all you know, it's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, let's trash the house. Like, oh sure.
Yeah. But I mean, because of the fact that he had told them and then they continued to do it, that's kind of where the problem came in.
Yeah.
If he didn't say anything to them and just said, let's fuck this place up, and they didn't know about it, then I can't imagine they would really be charged with anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was held in jail, not in prison, for 309 days because apparently he had an issue with his mental health where I think they thought he was at risk of self-harm. So they kept him there to stop that from being a possibility, and they doubled his bond so that he couldn't afford to actually post bail and get out.
Yeah.
Which
Good.
I think is kind of fucked up, but then also kind of good. It's a bit of a cheeky way to do it. Flash forward a couple of years, and Dylan would actually violate his probation. So the probation part and the withholding the adjudication, that was only going to stick if he successfully completed his probation without reoffending. He reoffends because there's meant to be a traffic stop that he's supposed to be pulled up on, decides, fuck it, flees, crashes into another car. So he fled the police at a traffic stop. He's then violated his probation, so I believe that he ended up getting arrested for that.
What a fucking dickhead.
You literally got a get out of jail free card, and you just push yourself straight back in there.
Don't fuck up for 10 years. Like pressure. No, you idiot. What the fuck?
I know, 10 years to me, that's not, like, I don't know the ins and outs of probation. I think you have to meet up with the probationary officer like once every week or something like that, but I don't know what the actual guidelines are for that. But I know that not stopping at just a normal traffic stop.
Like, to me, 10 years probation, that sounds like a fucking lot, but compared to spending the rest of your life in jail, I'd much prefer probation.
Yeah.
Second chance, let's go.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It was really, really strange.
Dickhead.
On July 8th of 2022, Brian was sentenced to 364 days at Volusia County Jail. That number pisses me off. It's 1 day shy of a year.
Yeah, why you do that?
Yeah, it's like,
just give him a year.
do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. His bail was only $100,000, which his parents could afford.
Oh.
So he spent 1 day in jail, was bailed, and then didn't really have to spend the rest in there.
Interesting.
But he was served with longer probation. So he was given 14 years probation.
Okay.
For his partner, I believe, adjudication was also withheld from him. So it also wouldn't be like a permanent mark on his record.
Yeah,
that
how
judge
would you
was
explain?
lenient as fuck.
Yeah, how would you explain that? Well, just help my friend. He killed his mum and so I trashed the house.
But that brings us to Gregory Ramos, who pled guilty to first-degree murder, abuse of a body, and tampering with evidence, and he would be charged as an adult and sentenced to 45 years imprisonment at the Lake City Correctional Facility. His sentence could be reviewed after 25 years, so it wasn't 25 to life, because I think they can't give life to a minor, even if they try them as an adult. I think there's like a ruling in that. But after 25 years, he gets to have it reviewed. If he's allowed out at that time, he will be 40 or just in his 40s, so he's lost all of his life. If he has to serve the whole 45, then he won't get out until he's in his 60s, and he will be on probation for the rest of his life. He's not going to be taken off probation.
I know this sounds really bad, but if you're a kid and you committed murder and then you get out in time that you're still alive, 50, 60, 40, whatever, what's the fucking point? You've grown up in a prison system. You have no idea what outside life is like 40 years later.
And you know what you hear a lot of the times with that kind of stuff, with like kids that grow up in jail? One, they normally end up worse than what they would have if they're outside. But then two, you'll find that they're reoffended to go back inside because that's all they know.
Exactly.
On the outside, they have to pay taxes. They have to pay for a roof over their head. They need to buy food. They need to, all that kind of stuff they have to cover. In prison, taxpayers cover that. So, and they also get to work while they're in there, earn a little bit of money for commissary.
But you'd have no family left. You haven't worked for 40 years. You have no job skills. You have no money saved. What's the fucking point?
What's
Sorry,
the point?
but like, what's the point? That sounds bad, but...
If I was to go through this case with a fine-toothed comb, we would be here for so much longer than we already have been. So there are a lot of things that I didn't include, like audio from Gregory telling the interrogators that he deserved an award for his acting on his 911 call.
Oh, fuck me. No, you did not.
No.
It was bad.
You rolled your eyes the second he started talking. So you're not going to win an Emmy anytime soon, babe. The audio from Dylan and Brian chatting in the back of the cop car about the sound system that one of them had taken from the home that he had set up in his room nice and was playing his favorite song. They then start singing that song together in the back of the car.
Fucking hell. I need to see that. I think I'm going to watch that one again.
Because they just did not understand the scope of what had happened. It was wild. It was actually...
I like when they think they're going to go home. And they're like, all right, this has been a tough day. You're not going anywhere, bud.
And they did. Because they were bummed. He was bummed that he was going to have to give the stereo system back. One of them was also like, oh my God, I'm going to be disowned by my whole family. The other one was like, I'm going to be fucking grounded forever.
Oh, no.
They had no idea about what was literally happening, even though they're fucking cuffed in the back of the cop car.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And they obviously weren't thinking about the fact that they're in a cop car, so it's being recorded. The conversation's being recorded, guys. It really does not make any sense. The other thing that I would have put in if I could was the lovely little speech that Gregory made in court when he was actually finally sentenced, where he did look a lot different to how he looked when he was young, because now he's closer to being an adult. But he had never shown any sign of anything beforehand, but he's crying and he's apologizing to the family and people that he stole Gail from. He also is mourning for the fact that he will never get a chance to ask her things about what happened in her life or about his dad or all this other stuff that he's actually stolen from himself. And he sits there and he cries about it. But I was also like, was he crying for her or himself? Is it because he now misses out on something, so now he's going to be sad about it? Is it because he's literally about to be sentenced and he's just caring about himself more than anything else? I don't know. His grandma actually is given permission to walk up to him while he's at his table, and she prays with him about stuff after his sentence. I don't know.
I have something really inappropriate to ask. Was he a virgin when he went to jail?
I don't know. Well, he probably won't
was
be
he
now.
crying about that though? Like, were you crying about that you never, like shit?
Or you're probably going to
lessons.
lose your virginity, but not in the way you wanted.
No. But when you said crying, I was like, well, someone's taking acting classes in jail.
Yeah, but there were real tears.
Yeah.
Because there was a close-up on it, you could see them crying. And his voice didn't sound like it did in the phone call. Yeah. Because he looked upset. I still think that he was crying for sympathy. Anyway, there was honestly so much. So much. So I tried to cram as much as I could in there while simultaneously limiting the information to the more important facts. And with that, we find ourselves at the end of today's case.
My ear holes enjoyed that information shoved in. I get angry really easily. Some of these fuckheads I just can't.
But I think it's reasonable. The funny thing is, you don't get angry about the crime. You get angry about the failed cover-up. And those are the things that piss you off more. Because like, what are you, fucking dumb?
I think it's the fact that you've killed someone and you think you're getting away with it. Like, these people literally think, not all of them, most of them, think they're going to get away with it. Like, these kids
In
thought they
this
were going to go
case,
home.
they all thought they would
Yeah.
get away with it.
Oh, slap on the wrist. Don't kill your mum again. Okay, I won't.
Bye. Yeah. Gail Clevenger was 46 years old and she worked as an architect. Artichoke!
Shit, an art attack!
She was an architect.
Cardi B.
Architect. Around.
Yeah, weird noises. I was like, maybe she just needs to take a shit. Fucking banging for a shit.
I mean, if it's touching cloth.
Fucking cars.
If it's touching cloth,
Look, you're in your
gotta
40s
go.
and
you gotta go.
You gotta go.
And she is 46.
Yeah.
But he notices that it is open, it's been, like, kicked in. She really needed to shit. Yeah.
Sorry.
I knew that's where you were going. I knew it. Ding dong, walla walla bing bong. Ooh ee ooh ah bing bang, walla walla bing dong. Anyway.
Detective
Did I insert
Tucker.
that?
I said Cucker.
You did.
Detective Tucker.
Cuckold.
The day that I don't cut you off when you're talking, you're gonna be like,
I'll probably ask you to leave. I wouldn't know.
like, Ashley?
What's happened?
No, what is it? The fucking, you know how people are like, that's not my dog, and it's a fucking skinwalker. You'll think I'm a skinwalker. Digression, no session. Digression, no session. Digression, no session.
Homicide.
It's homicide.
It's homicide.
It's homo time.
It's homo time.
It's homo time.
We need that on a t-shirt.
It's homo time.
It's homo time.